Good day to all. I am Shivani, and today I am going to tell you about open access publishing, its initiatives, resources, and recent developments. Going to talk about the following contents: introduction, timeline of open access, scholarly communication, types of open access, licenses and permissions, models, benefits, why need open access, pros and cons, illusions, role as a PhD student. Also, publications and initiatives in India, which includes open access journals, open access directories, electronic books, repositories, courseware, and theses. We'll start with the introduction. Uh, Imagine you have just finished your creation and wanted to share it with the world. So you could either stand on a soapbox and shout your message, or you could publish your article in a traditional journal where a few people can read it and you no longer have control on your own work. Or you could share your work with the world through open access and make a real impact on society, where different publications will be made available freely and you don't need to pay any amount for it, and there will be no copyright barriers, how it used to be earlier when publishers used to keep all the rights reserved with themselves and it was impossible to use or access by anyone for commercial purposes, although using for academic purpose was okay. So, in other words, open access means the creators place their work on the internet for public use, free of charge and free of the most copyright barriers. Anyone can read it, cite it, and reuse it. The concept of open access emerged as an alternative model of scholarly publishing in response to the phenomena known as serial crisis, which refers to the exponential and continuing increase in the cost of scholarly journal subscriptions, as well as the advent of the internet and the proliferation of resources, new e-publishing models, and the development of open standards and protocols. According to the UNESCO, a publication is considered in open access if its content is universally and freely accessible at no cost to the reader via internet or otherwise. The authors or the copyright owner irrevocably grants to all users for an unlimited period the right to use, copy, or distribute the article on condition that proper attribution is given. It is deposited immediately in full and in a suitable electronic form in at least one widely and internationally recognized open access repository committed to open access. The open access that was started in 1990s is now in a speedy mode and have gained lots of benefits during the COVID time when everything was in a shutdown mode. There were the declarations, meetings attended by different scientists after which they had laid various principles and definitions of open access. Some of the declarations popularly known as BBB declarations. The first one is the Budapest Open Access Initiatives 2002. Berlin Declaration 2003, Betzer Statement 2003. Now let's discuss on the timeline of open access. The timeline shows the history of developments that took place in the open access. The students, researchers of physics and computers were archiving their work on the internet long before the open access concept was introduced. They were archiving on archive.org. The developments include various softwares, repositories, and journals that were introduced to make the movement worldwide. Some of the softwares, repositories, and journals are as mentioned. PubMed repository launched in the period of 2000 and 2002. Then DOAJ was Directory of Open Access Journals, launched in the time period 2003 to 2006. OSPA, the Open Access Scholarly Publishers Association, that was introduced in the period of 2007 to 2010. Then the Zendo, an all-purpose open access repository that was developed between 2012 to 2016, and the latest initiative that was in 2018, that is Plan S, published by Coalition S. Now let's discuss about open access scholarly communication. We always think how the publication process work goes on. Being a scholar, we read lots of articles, we get the idea or the thought that we can choose to work on a specific topic. Then we opt for research using different research methods that can be quantitative or qualitative or scientific research methods. After completing the research, we write the report on the research. The report can be extensive in nature, however, we can convert in the form of an article. What exactly we prefer to do after writing report is that we try to submit it in the department of our library, or we keep one copy with oneself. But when it comes to the article, we try to submit it in the top rated journals, where the article is being reviewed by their editorial team, and then they distribute it in the form of journal. If your article is accepted, it gets published in the journal. So after that, after getting published in the journal, it can be accessed in the library. Here, one important thing that I would like to add on is that uh, all the journals are not free to publish and requires fees for publishing article. And with the limited budget of the library, we have limited subscription to the journals. And if we only can't read or have access to our article, then what's the use of it? This is a traditional cycle where the author starts to publish, but the journal is not accessible by the Authors Institute. This could be the loss not only to the author but also to the underdeveloped and developing countries, as they would be debarred from using the research and its findings. So here are the three stakeholders that are involved in the cycle of the scholarly communication. That is, scholars who create the knowledge, publishers who evaluate, edit, package, and distribute the knowledge, and the last, libraries and repositories, which gather, preserve, and organize the knowledge. Now let's come to the types of open access publications. There are basically several ways to share your work using open access. You can publish via publisher by the following green or golden routes. So the two main routes are being discussed here. First is the gold route, to use an open access publisher's platform to publish articles or books is the gold route. That content posted through the gold route is immediately accessible. And the alternative option to publish is the green route, where to save a manuscript copy in an open access repository or manuscripts deposited through the green open access route may be made accessible only after a self-archiving embargo period has passed. Here, the gold route puts two options to opt for. It is full open access journal, which refers to the publishing in a fully open access journal via publisher's platform. This may contain a fees. The publication cost is referred to as article processing fees, that is APC, where that basically ensures your article receives the same treatment as those articles published traditionally, while allowing publishers to compensate for what they would otherwise make the subscription cost. So this cost is being beared by the authors or their institutions like PLOS, Sage Open. The majority of research funders are in favor of such open access and are willing to pay for it. The second option that Gold Open Access provides is the hybrid journal, which refers to the which refers that published in both print and online format. These are the subscription publications that allow individual articles to be published openly after payment of an APC. So some examples are Elsewhere, Wiley, Springer Nature, Taylor and Francis, and Sage. So here comes the green open access route, which provides sometimes the published article can be deposited in your institution repository or the repository required by your discipline, or sometimes various of the articles can be deposited into the repository for future use even after having published in a traditional way. Preprints or postprints, both author's version or publisher's version, depositing of one of these various with versions with usually allowed after an embargo period. So here the preprints are the author's copy of the article before it is peer reviewed, or sorry, pre-reviewed by the publisher. Postprint is the author's copy of the article after it has been reviewed and modified, but before it has been formatted for publishing in by the publisher. And ePrints is any digital version of a research document that can be found on the internet. So here an embargo period is the length of the time you need to wait for before making a version of your article public on the internet. Now here we'll discuss about the licenses and permissions attached with the open access. Research scholars must know the types of the licenses attached with the open access, that is gratis and libre. Gratis is free to use, libre is free to view and reuse. The greatest open access is the publisher acquire the right to publish the article if copyright is transferred to them. The term gratis open access refers to an article freely available for reading but not for further distribution or reuse. Labor open access is distributing and reusing remitted publications in the Libre open access publishing model can not only be read but also reused by others without any legal restrictions. The most commonly used licenses are CC BY. As we discussed only two models earlier in the earlier slide, here are some more to go, like diamond open access. This type of gold open access that does not charge authors fees, that is APC. The journal publication activities are supported by various sources and are not charged to the authors. The bronze open access. Here, articles labeled as open access but without a Creative Commons license or an APC for the author. Delayed open access. The scholarly articles in subscription journals made widely available on the web directly through the publisher after a defined embargo period has expired, after which published article is freely available to the users. Hybrid open access we already discussed. So black open access is, as the name suggests, it's an illegal open access referred to as black open access. The short-term open access type is the where the publishers provides free access for a set amount of time, usually 6 months to a year. After that, only subscribers have access to the content. Selected open access is under this, the publishers allow free access to only a selected part of their content. Other materials are only available to subscribers. Partial open access under this model, publishers selectively provide free access to the contents of these specific areas such as research papers but not to review papers. Subscribers only have access to the other materials. We'll discuss upon the open access benefits. For researchers' point of view, the open access helps to increase the capacity of readers to locate and use relevant literature. It increases the author's work's visibility, readership, and effect. In a digital context, it opens up new opportunities for discovery, improves the quality of interdisciplinary research, acceleration of research, discovery, and invention. From educational institutions' point of view, uh, the open access have several benefits. Some are it contributes to the primary mission of knowledge advancement. Access is democratized across all institutions regardless of their size and resources. It enhances students' educational experience, ensures students have access to what they need to know regardless of their financial situation, aids in the development of more educated workforce. Now, from research funders' point of view, it increases the return on investment in research, helps to create a tool to track one's research portfolio. Duplicate research is not funded. Transparency is created. It encourages more involvement with the findings of research that has been financed. From business's point of view, its innovative thinking is aided by access to cutting-edge research. It encourages the development of a new concept, services, and products. It creates new work opportunities. From public point of view, the benefits are it obtains previously unable material in health, energy, the environment, and other topics of journal interest, which were restrained from some kind of high prices, or you can say which were out of the reach of the public. It helps in the result in more educated population. It encourages participation in citizen science and support the scientific enterprises. The question arises why we need open access. So basically, we need open access as it helps to provide more exposure for our work. Practitioners can apply their findings for further research. There is a higher rate of citation rates available. The research can influence the policy as open access is one of its kind. The public can access the findings. The rules are compliant with the grants. Researchers in developing countries can see your work. Taxpayers get the value for their money when they are able to read your findings of the research in which they have invested. So basically, impact and visibility, extending the research beyond the academia, sharing the work freely, maximizing reuse and allowing others to build your work, complying with the open access mandates, and creating transparency. That is why we need to have open access. As there are always topics with advantages and disadvantages, so open access also comes with some pros and cons. Some pros are as discussed below. More people can read the results of scientific study, including those who might otherwise be unable to do so due to the lack of financial resources, such as membership to costly journals, where people are being debarred from reading and accessing to the scientific research material. New ideas can be disseminated quickly and broadly, further research investigations and boosting the knowledge. Scientific research reveals that publishing under open access results higher citation and influence because of the global visibility without any barriers. Businesses can also gain access to the most up-to-date scientific concepts, which they can expand on. Recent information can be used immediately in teaching as an OERs, that is open educational resource, because availability also implies more reuse. Cons are as follows. Researchers in science, health, and economics in particular are judged on their ability to publish in high impact journals. New traditional and open access journals need time to establish an impact factor. Also, across disciplines, the quantity of high quality, full open access journals varies dramatically. Some domains have a shortage of or insufficient resources. Open access journals may require additional management, whereas the traditional journals are usually delivered quickly online. Most research institutes have not yet established plans for the payments of APC, that is author processing charges, during this change over time. Open access publishers of typically dubious quality, that is predatory journals, can spam researchers, distorting their perspectives of the open access publishing model. For researchers, submitting publication data and the entire text of papers to the repositories add to their workload. It is not always apparent if the text of the articles stored in the repositories may be made open to access. Copyright issues arise from time to time. Now, the illusions that have been in the mind of the researchers or the research scholars who are getting engaged or taking open access as the path of their publication for the articles and the research work they take on. So, here are some myths by Peter Saber, as mentioned. The first one is the only way to provide open access to peer-reviewed journal articles is to publish in open access journals. All or most open access journals charge publication fees, that is APC. The authors themselves pay the most author side fee. Publishing in a conventional journal closes the door to making the work open to access. Open access journals are intrinsically low in quality. Open access mandates infringe academic freedom. Now, as a role of a PhD student, how you could use your open access path in performing your research. You can use open access research engines where when preparing a paper or a thesis. Like Base is the largest open access research engine available with searching of more than 3,100 university scholarly archives. Paparity, a special open access search engine where all articles can be read on the site of the search engine itself and are full text searchable. DOAJ, that is Directory of Open Access Journals, search in which articles published in open access journals are available. Oysters contains more than 1100 scholarly archives containing preprints. DOAB is the Directory of Open Access Books, which provides an researcher overview of peer-reviewed ebooks published in the open access. OATD is the open access thesis and dissertations, where open access to thesis and PhD dissertations from more than 800 universities, colleges, and research institutions are worldwide available for all the upcoming researchers and scholars to take upon to search out or to provide a reference for their work. Shodh Ganga, how can we forget, a reservoir of the Indian thesis, a digital repository of thesis and dissertations submitted to Indian universities. Now, here comes the open access initiatives that are the steps taken by various institutions, libraries to promote open access. Resources that could be useful for researchers and students are as follows. Like, although the open access movement originated before the internet, it grew in the popularity as an intellectual activity adopted web access. All disciplines became involved in the movement to provide clients with the access to the scholarly information. It's one of the most valuable medium for disseminating research and gaining global exposures. So the resources are as follows: open access journals. These are the journals that are gold standards for giving free online access to peer-reviewed material, like Indian Academy of Science, Indian National Science Academy, Medicine, Indian, IndianJournals.com, NISCARE, Indian Journal of Medical Research, Medno Publications, OJS@InfobNet Center. The next resource is the Open Access Directories. These is basically a community maintained database of concise factual lists about open access to science and scholarship. Open access directories make it easy for everyone to locate, utilize, and update various open access related lists by putting them all together in one place. So these are Open DOAR, ROAR, DOAJ, that is Directories of Open Access Journals, DOAB, Directories of Open Access Books, eBooks directories. The next resource comes as Open Access Electronic Books. These are a digital version of printed books that can be read on a computer or a specially developed mobile device known as ebook. These are Digital Library of India, Internet Archive, Million Book Project, Project Gutenberg, Hathi Trust Digital Library, eBooks Online Library. The next is the Open Access Repository. These are an institutional repositories in an online archive that collects, preserves, and disseminates digital copies of an institution's intellectual work, particularly research production. These IRs is a cost-effective and immediate way to provide access to scholarly literature such as research papers and electronic versions of documents, theses and dissertations, as well as digital assets created by an institution such as annual reports, course notes, or learning objects, among other things. So the repositories are Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore Institutional Repository, National Institute of Oceanography, Indian Digital Library, Information and Library Network Center Institutional Repository, Indian Institute of Astrophysics Institutional Repository, CSIR Central, Open Med National Informatics Center India, RRI Digital Repository. The next resource that comes in is the Open Access Courseware. Open Access Courseware basically refers to an open educational resource that that are organized into courses and include course planning, material like syllabi and calendar, as well as content like textbooks, lectures, presentation, notes, and stimulations. These are NAPTEL, eGyanKosh, Learning Object Repository, CEC, EPG Pathshala, Coursera, Open Courseware Consortium. And the last resource to go is Open Access Theses and Dissertations. Platforms, these are the platforms for providing open text access to the theses and dissertations free of charge. These includes Shodh Ganga, NDLTD, that is Networked Digital Library of Theses and Dissertations, PQDT, Open, that is ProQuest Digital Thesis, Open Access Thesis and Dissertations, that is OATD, EBSCO Open Dissertations. After talking about the open access initiatives that are being taken up by various institutions and libraries to promote open access, we need to discuss upon the points on how to promote open access. Open access is supported in a variety of ways by libraries and other institutions, ranging from just giving information to enacting open access policies and establishing institutional repositories. So here are some points to be discussed. Preparing guides to open access, holding open access week events to promote awareness about the open access, encouraging dialogues about open access, that is through blogs and letters. The institutions or the libraries can put on their blogs information regarding to the open access, endorsing statements on open access such as the Berlin Declaration. They can endorse on their websites, establishing open access publication funds, establishing institutional repositories so that the ongoing researchers can utilize them. Establishing open access databases, we can promote by creating more open access databases that can help the researchers and the scholars, issuing open access resolutions and enacting the open access policies, basically involving new open access policies to make the work easy for the researchers, purchasing institutional subscriptions that provide discounts on open access publication fees. Institutions should try to purchase such subscriptions that provides discounts on the open access publications. Negotiating open access agreements with the publishers by which we can promote the open access, providing copyright advisory services to the researchers so that they are aware about the service copyright rights and how to use them in their research, assisting in the conversion of institution-based journals to open access journals, forming academic centers devoted to scholarly publishings. Here are the references. Thank you. So I hereby complete my this presentation, and I have tried to touch all the aspects of the open access that are important for you as a researcher. Thank you.